Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a publication called "Oh my god, I seriously can't stop laughing at all these ignorant Americans who got absolutely roasted into oblivion so far this year." So it's gonna be, I never know if people online when they are like, they're being roasted apparently. So I'm gonna assume there's like pretty dumb comments. But I never know if people are being for real. Like, are they trolling online, or are these people that actually exist? It's hard to believe sometimes, but I know like human stupidity like knows no bounds. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm scared actually. I'm terrified of what's to come. But let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe. So this is number one. It's called "Europe would fit into Texas." Europe is not a theme park. Sorry, not drinking tap water. Europe is a really small place when compared to the US. Well, yeah, sure. I think all of Europe would fit into the state of Texas and would definitely fit into Alaska. Well, no, that's definitely not true. I think I would say Europe is a small place compared to the US. I know in territory, I actually, like, compared to what? In amount of people, I think the people that live there obviously know, but I think we just culturally, of course not. Like, I think that argument, I think, falls apart like really easily just because of the fact that Europe is a mix of like a bunch of different countries, and the United States, even though obviously like you can argue yes, but every region has its own cultural things. Like, well, so does Europe, because every country has its own like mini things that obviously are gonna be like, oh, they only do that in the West, or they only do that in the North, or they only do that in the South. So that argument just falls apart really easily. Number two, this is what real Italian food is. Italian exchange student tried Olive Garden for the first time. Oh, it's Olive Garden. This is what real Italian food is. Olive Garden is great. No slander for that, but it's not Italian. I went all over Italy. Olive Garden has the best Italian food in the world. Well, those are, you can't argue for taste, right? That's what they say. Sure, I agree. Our poop is built different. Our poop is solid here. Bidets came from countries where liquid poop is daily. Americans aren't gross for not using them. Everyone else is gross for needing them. Well, I say that I would guess that's a joke, right? Like, come on, bidets are like awesome. Like, why would you? And they're arguing like bidets are gross. No, oh yes, because people are calling them gross. Like, you Americans are gross because you don't use a bidet, and it's like, no, it should be the opposite. Like, how come being like, oh, you're clean, that's gross? What? That doesn't even make sense. How do you even begin to cook by using Celsius? What? I'm confused. 60 degrees is like colder than average room temperature. How does that cook anything? Am I missing something? 60? No, 60 is super hot. It's not colder. It's actually super hot. Are they confused? No, because they're mentioning like, oh no, okay, I get it now. It says Celsius and the person's confused and they think it's 60 Fahrenheit. I have no idea actually. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, the Fahrenheit system is like, I think it's like, it's not on steroids. I think it's on 30. So that's what you say, like 30, 0. And you think like 30 degrees is gonna be like what's cooking. Actually, I don't think it's half actually. I think I'm probably totally off about this, but it's crazy. Get with the metric system. 5. Georgia doesn't exist. Georgia is in like the country, or Georgia is in like the state. But a 2024 study of a 1.0 million year old teeth from the country of Georgia, El Mayo, do you really expect us to take our information from someone who doesn't know the difference between a state and a country? The country of Georgia, a country in Europe, existed before the American state of Georgia. Look it up. Even if there's a country called Georgia, I doubt it's older than us. Okay, that's crazy, because I can allow maybe a little bit of ignorance. Maybe I think there's a point where you're like, you can't. But maybe, again, not a lot of people, well, I know Georgia is quite a small country. I would say yes, it is a very small country. So maybe people are not aware of its existence. However, like, arguing that it's older, like, I doubt it's older than the US. So a lot of things are like, most things are actually older than the US. The US is actually quite new. I think by nature, all countries in America are just, in the American continent, are younger, just by definition of being discovered. So, and again, yes, there were people there, just as in Europe, but I think civilization, maybe, or society as we know then this, like, again, this modern era came from there, so I'm putting that as reference. Obviously, I know that people existed in places before like there's been people since forever. Italy has no water. In Italy, we have water, ice, we drink, we eat, we ran. We do everything you guys do in other countries. Boy, y'all do not have water. Boy, I read a boy, y'all do not have water. I've seen plenty of vids. Okay, so what do you mean you don't have water? Like, that's just an insane thing. You don't have water? Like, do you think just a country exists without water? Like, what? Like, where does it come from? That's crazy. Don't mess with the country who won the Civil War. The Civil War? Okay, UK Prime Minister does what Trump can't. America has lost its credibility. The rest of the world sees it for what it is. A country, $30 million, trillions, 30 trillion in debt, a useless military that's never won a war, and a baby as its president. Bring it on, tough guy. You want to find out how useless our military is? US won World War II, World War II, World War I, World War II, American Civil War, and Mexican-American War. And the American Revolution. How on earth did you pass history class? They I'm sorry, but I keep laughing at you bragging. The US won the American Civil War. Who else was supposed to win? Nigeria? Yeah, they by own definition, and they also talk like the well, yeah, okay, that's crazy. And also, I think yes, US won the World War One and Two. So do other countries. Like, it wasn't just the US. It was like several countries won this. It wasn't just like you. And obviously, again, the American Civil War, like the Civil War, again, who was winning those? Like, that's crazy. Do Americans celebrate the 4th? Genuine question. What does England do during the 4th of July? Like, obviously, they don't celebrate, but are they aware of the day? Do they joke about it? Do they mention it at all? Or is it like the awkward elephant in the room? Do they mourn? Is it a somber day? Do they get annoyed? Are they pressed? Or do they not even think about it at all? Taking a wild guess and say that they don't even think about this at all. You know, they don't even, it doesn't even cross their minds. Military time is impossible to understand. No thoughts, just Andrew Garfield's phone saying 2350. He uses the 24-hour time setting. People actually use that. Who knew? I don't even understand 24-hour time. People have tried to explain it to me. I've looked it up and I just don't get it. Same with metric system. I just do not understand it. I have to use online converters or I'd be so confused when I talk to people who use these systems. If it's over 12, just subtract 12 from it. Well, but I think it's just like very easy. I think don't they teach this at school? I think I'm pretty sure, right? I don't know. And even if they don't really teach it at school, I mean, it's just like, it's easy. It's like, just go on. 12, 13, 14, like, it's not that hard. Actually, I have a really good, like, I think it's valid, right? Yes. Just like, take, like, subtract 2. It's like, if it's 17, just subtract 2 from the last number and it's 5. So it's like, if it's 18, it's 6. If it's 23, it's 11. So I think that's actually a good trick if you never got used to it. I think, yes, it is valid. It's a valid trick. Yes, you should definitely use this if you're like so confused about the whole situation of like 15, 16. It's just, but once you do it enough, it's automatic. Texas is the greatest country on earth. It's the greatest country. What is the only country in the world that has an X in its name? Texas. Sure, you know, they're like, everything's bigger in Texas, including its people, its citizens, their inhabitants. They believe that it's not even a state, it's a country. I think maybe they, no, because I was going to say, like, maybe they confuse country with county, but no, it's not in a county, Texas. It's just, you know, it's not, so there's not even like, I can't, yes, it's just like yeah, maybe it's a joke, actually. I'm trying to think of actually places that have an X in its name, countries that have an X in its name. And I don't know, I would have to think about this actually. Canada would collapse without us. Hell no, take care of your own country and leave Canada alone. Did you understand that if America actually left Canada alone, Canada would essentially dissolve into nothing from economic collapse and the lack of ability to defend itself? Then it would just take you anyway. Like, do they believe, like, what is this? Like, it's crazy. To think of, like, Canada, it's like, they only depend on the United States. What? That's crazy to think of. And what? Do they think that because, like, they're up north and they believe, like, oh, you know, it's like because they're close? Is that it? Actually, I have no idea. Europe is tiny. Europe isn't very big. What would you do for 2 weeks? What? That's a crazy thing to say in general about like I think every country, every continent, every whatever. I think it's crazy. What would you do for 2 weeks? Explore? Like, do you know how history like countries have? Like, that's crazy. Celsius is always wrong. Wow, like the whole like Celsius thing, like it's a pretty big deal. These things are like 200 kilograms. How the fuck is he? How TF is he doing that? See, this is why we like pounds. Kilos make everything seem a lot more than what it actually is, and Celsius makes the temperature seem less than what it really is. No, it's because you grew up with the other one. I think Celsius makes perfect sense just because the baseline is 0. And again, it's like, why would you put like an arbitrary number as in like you're neutral? Like, that's crazy. Like, what temperature does water boil? I know that has to do with that, but like, no, that's crazy. And the kilos versus pounds, if I'm not mistaken, I think a pound is just like a kilo. It's double the pound. Like 1 pound is around half a kilo. I think that's my understanding around, because I don't think it's correct. It's like 450 something kilograms or something, but it's around that. So it makes sense. It's like, well, just pounds. So if it's like 2 pounds, just like double it. And if you're doing kilos, just like to half that. I don't know. Like I don't think it's that hard to understand once to get the grasp of it, but 200 kilos to me is like, it makes perfect sense. Actually, I do not know why pounds are like pounds and kilos are kilos. Actually, I do not know that. At the very least, Texas, what's up with Texas? At the very least, Texas would be the biggest country in Europe. Okay, but would it be the biggest country in Europe anyway? What's up with the obsession? Like, Texans are obsessed with like the European, like, I don't know, with Europe and the size of Texas. It's just because Texas is just like very big. But it's not even, I don't know, it's crazy. Like, what would they think this? I am so like, this is blowing my mind. It's with the biggest country in Europe anyway. And even like, do they know, like, compare it to like something, I'm trying to think of like bigger, like actual bigger countries in Europe. France, Germany, even I don't know, like Spain and Portugal. No, Portugal is super small, but Spain, I think Spain's pretty big, and France, like the whole trifecta of like Germany, France, and Spain, those countries are huge. So those alone, I would say, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm maybe being super stupid about this. I'm pretty dumb. Are they the size of Texas? I think probably, like, I would say they're around the same size, actually. Not in people, but in the actual geographical, like, the actual territory. It's just that Texas, it's just like a barren landscape. I know that a lot of people live in Texas, but it's just like there's like a lot of places that are just like, they don't have anything. They're just like, it's just landscape, and this is nature, and they don't really have anything compared to other countries where like people live there, so everything's like tiny and everyone's like pushed together, because again, it's the same territory, but more people live there because of like the nature of those countries. I can't believe those taxes. I can't believe people in Europe are paying up to 30% tax. I can't believe American people get bankrupt by diabetes. Yes, it's a great point. Again, it's kind of sad because, well, if people, that's their mindset, well, it's like, should I feel bad for them? But it's like, do they feel like, it's a crazy thing about the taxes. It's like, yes, I'm paying a lot in taxes, but like, I'm seeing the benefits and I'm reaping the benefits. So why, like, I don't care about like paying higher taxes. I can't really let Americans some Americans, not all of them, but do not really see this. Why aren't miles and kilometers the same? I just found out that a 5K marathon isn't a 5-mile run instead of a 3-mile run. If so, why can't it just be called a 3K run marathon? To begin with, a marathon is 42 kilometers. So it's not, that's wrong, like however you look at it. A 5K walk or a 5K run, that's appropriate. But again, marathons are like 42 kilometers, not miles. So, to begin with, that's just wrong. And again, it's just like they're different units. And it's like, I don't need to explain it to you. Maybe it's a child. I don't know. Europe hasn't discovered electricity. This is legitimately my headcanon for Fallout. Europe's recovered and just confused about America. Europe doesn't even have gasoline or electricity right now. They don't have gasoline. They don't have electricity. What do they think it's happening in Europe? Do they believe that Europe is just like a place of like people living, I don't know, in the dark ages, or do they live in like, are they still like living in caves or something? Which is kind of like crazy because again, it's like they conquered, they conquered America. So it's like, what would you think they're less advanced if technically like they went over there? Fragile Europeans are physically unable to play football. Fragile Europeans are physically unable. Oh, but like they're football, not soccer. Question: why isn't American football an Olympic sport? Oh, it is actually. They don't have the bone mass to play in most countries. They play that soccer game because there's no real contact. It's gonna blow their minds when they know that rugby is played and hockey is also a sport that exists. And I'm pretty sure there's, the Olympics have hockey, the Olympics have I think the actual reason is because, let's face it, no one plays, like outside of the United States, no one plays American football, and that's why it's not in the Olympics. That's what I would venture to say. It's like, why would we do this? It's just like very regional. So the point of the Olympics is to like have a lot of countries that actually exceed at several sports. So like, what would they do? It's just it's just the United States. European food is awful, and American critiquing food is it's hilarious. We got the best food in the world. No one goes to Europe for food. Well, that's an insane thing, because I would say a lot of people, most people actually go to Europe for the food. So that's just like, however you actually want to like just sit around, that's just wrong on so many levels that no, that's just like wrong. You're using punctuation all wrong. In many European countries, they use a comma, where in the US it's a period. I sure bet they do, even if it's wrong. Okay, just like saying wrong things, like whatever. Why would they think like they use a comma where in the US they believe they don't have like grammatical rules? Is that it? Like what? And again, not to be all whatever, but I'm pretty sure the United States like uses as a reference probably like the Cambridge Dictionary, which it's in Europe. It's because it's the oldest institution of like the American English. Well, not the American, just like the English language. So the United States doesn't have this, so they're gonna use like Cambridge, and I'm pretty sure it's Cambridge. So what? Ireland created English. They may have created the language, but we perfected it. Ireland didn't invent English, lad. England did. Yes, I was so confused about this. What do you mean that Ireland created the English as in like the English, the language English, as in like, no, yes, because they say they perfected it. It's the language. Do they believe that? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's because they believe that Ireland is English, like because they're over there, they're on the other side of the pond, they're part of Great Britain, so they think there's no difference. Pretty sure that's the case here. Champagne is from where I say it's from. Champagne is exclusively produced in the Champagne region of France, and the term champagne is legally protected. There are no champagne businesses in the US. This is the same man eliminating the Department of Education. It's because, well, I don't know, something, okay. This is America. If we say we make champagne here, then we make champagne. No, that's not a thing. I think they're illegally allowed, like the bottle cannot say champagne, because you can only get those DOP. Like it's just like they have a country of denomination. I can't remember the name of like the specific name it's called, but they have something called like origin, denomination of origin, something of the sort. And it's like some place like Champagne, they have this. There's like some regions, some wines that have it as well. Not just champagne because it's a type of liquor, but other stuff has it as well. Olive oil, I think, also has it. Like some of the like the good quality olive oil also has this, and balsamic vinegar as well. They have like this thing that tells you that no, this is called this because it's produced in the only region in the world where this can be produced. And if it's produced somewhere else, then it's not it. So you cannot legally like call it by this name. So it's just like completely wrong. It's not like you make champagne. No, I don't think they're illegally allowed to say that. And if someone says that they're making champagne in the US, like legally they say so in the bottle, I think you can sue them actually. And you can definitely snitch them. Okay, that's not how that's spelled. In 2006, Sony covered an entire apartment complex in Scotland with 7,000 liters of paint for a commercial. Oh, okay, it's a video. All that effort that they misspelled the one word in the whole ad, color. No, that's just how they say it. And again, it's like you don't know that they have. This is crazy because you know that they speak the same language, but you also know that they have their own, not always, but for certain words, they do have their own spelling. And it's like, don't you know this? Again, this is like basic things, like gray and gray. I know that they always like do the whole like, well, not gray and gray because it's like gray with an A and gray with an E. But I think with color, I don't know. It sounds, I don't even know why like they do this, but it's like there are other words that do this. No idea why. It's just pronounced because it's pronounced well. I don't know how to pronounce kala. Yeah, maybe it's because of the pronunciation. People just misspelled it, and now it's stuck because now it's like it's a regional version. British language is a bunch of gibberish. Victrola, or an old-fashioned record player. Edit. English will often name all things after a company brand name. Kleenex for facial tissue, Band-Aid for a desert bandage, dumpster for large waste container. Well, dumpster is not it's a dumpster. That's a company. Extra note for OP. Those are American examples. We just use tissue, plaster, and then maybe a skip for that one. But to me, a dumpster and a skip are different. Yes, because to me, dumpster is just like it's yes, dumpster is dumpster. I didn't know that it was a company. I do know that obviously Kleenex, it's a company, and I don't know the whole. I think I can think of like Tipex or something. I don't know, like the whole thing that you put like the white, would you use it to make you cover mistakes? But Kleenex or yes, Band-Aid, of course. But I think they're just did you just use it? You're not going to say, can you give me an adhesive bandage? I think you would say, like, give me a Band-Aid. But I don't know, like, is it just an American thing? This is news to me, actually. And to me, plaster, I didn't know they use plaster for facial tissue, like for tissues or plasters. Because to me, plaster is just like the thing you put on the walls. It's like the plaster on the walls. That's called plaster, right? So this is confusing me. Okay, let me go on. British examples would be hover for a vacuum, clean for a vacuum cleaner. Oh, it's a Hoover. Tannoy for an announcement speaker system. I've never heard of those. Sellotape for clear sticky tape, etc. I would suggest sticky tape. This is forum for discussing of the English language. Please don't degrade it with your bizarre British aberrations. Oh my god, it got so downvoted. Yes, of course, but it makes sense. I've never heard of those. Would love to know, like, obviously it's true. Like, a lot of countries must have this. Of course, you call things by the companies are so like into like the collective that you just start calling them like that. But actually, it hadn't occurred to me actually to call like this. Of course, don't they have like Kleenex in other countries? That's probably the surprising part about this. It's like something like Kleenex or Band-Aid, isn't that universal in the whole world? Apparently no. So yes, I'm being dumb about this again. I'm being blasted out on this. Lithuania would be ours in an instant. USA asks Lithuania for eggs after Finland and Denmark. Internet calls it door-to-door begging. Oh my god, that's super harsh. Wait, you guys do know the lack of eggs is because of bird flu, right? This isn't some economic issue. LOL, we could physically buy Lithuania itself if we wanted. Bird flu has wiped out many eggs in North America. I think the bird flu, it's a real problem. It comes, I think, every year, and every year we have problem with eggs. And I think it's worldwide. Or almost worldwide. I think it's just like a thing of like, oh my god, the eggs, like, they went up in price because there's like the bird flu. And there's always a problem with bird flu. I think every year it comes around. But it's funny that they think it's like they don't have the money to buy eggs. It's not like we're talking about like your neighbor that doesn't have money to buy eggs. It's just like, it's a country, and obviously this is crazy. And of course, it's just like, well, we can buy it if we want it. That's an American thing of like, I can buy whatever if I want it because I have money, and I'm rich and you're not. That's such an American thing of like solving like problems with, or solving any kind of argument or any sort of like, I don't know, like if you feel called out, just tell them like, you're rich, I'm rich, I have money. I think that's like a lot of it's a very American thing. We wrote the dictionary, bro. We wrote the dictionary. Be quiet. The most used dictionary in the world is the Oxford English Dictionary. Oh, it's the Oxford, not Cambridge. It is also the most used in America and the one that Harvard University asks its students to use. The Oxford English Dictionary is written by professors at Oxford University in Oxford, England, and is published by Oxford University Press, also in Oxford, England. Also, the first ever dictionary was Robert Cowdrey's Table Alphabetical, written in 1604 and published in London, England. Yes, of course that is like so stupid because again, it's just by nature of like European things are older by the nature of the world and history. So why would you think you wrote the dictionary and that you invented this language? It's like, no, you speak this language because they came from Europe. So again, it's like such a basic concept to grasp that I think it's a joke. they need to build some more bypasses in those old cities. Why do they even build cities like this? Oh, because Nero make these places. Maybe these places were built long before there were cars. Yeah, oh, okay, they're being like, yes, that's what it is. Why not demolish some of them in order to make room for cars and make the city accessible for all people, including me? This is how I think it's a joke, or it's like they're making fun of like probably Americans, because it's like including me. Like how? I don't know, like you're so narcissistic. It's like, why are you including yourself in this? It's like everything has to cater to me and me, only me. It's like, oh my god, that's awful. And yes, why would we demolish everything? Yes, because cars are so important that we have to demolish like centuries of history just because we need to fit cars in there. Like, oh my god, like, are you hearing yourself? Greenland belongs to America. Americans think they live in Ukraine. Why? Greenland is a part of America, so it's a lot more. What? No, that's not. Bro, what? Greenland is claimed by the USA. I think that's a recent thing, right? Like, weren't they like recently trying to claim Greenland, or they were trying to claim Greenland, and obviously Greenland was like, what? No. But I think maybe that's like a newer thing, and maybe that's why they got confused. They saw it in the news, and they don't know anything about anything, so they just like saw it and thought, oh, Greenland must be, I don't know, this not even, I was going to say Alaska, but it's not even the same, like, no, it's on the other side, so who knows what they thought. We're the main character, always, yes. It's Australian dollars, that's a world outside of America. There is a world outside of America. Yeah, but America is the main character and the only country that matters, so who cares? Yes, I think this sums it up, absolutely, yes, this sums it up completely, because it's like, yes, you know, who is going to argue with me that, you know, America is like, we are the main character? And it's like, yes, sure. And I think you could argue, not obviously like people that are like this, because obviously that's a crazy thing to say. But I think you can like, I can give them like a little, okay, I can't say what you mean. It's because American culture like permeates so much of like what's happening outside of in other places, and basically like all over the world. And in other countries, I don't think there's a country in the world that can escape like the American culture and American people and American politics and American news and just American everything in general. So I can maybe like say, I get why you kind of think that, just because, you know, American culture like influences like so many different parts of the world, that it's like, yes, I have a main character syndrome for a good reason. It's like, what if everything, you know, you tell me everything is not about me, but what if it is? It's like, well, a little bit, I can see why, but you know, it's not like all roads lead to America, like that's not a thing. And again, it's like, can see why they think this, but it's crazy to think of like being so like conceited to the point where you actually believe it, because I'm saying this and it's a real thing, but I'm talking about like, okay, but you know that there's like, it's a little bit of a joke hidden in there of like, I can understand why, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you know, there's other countries have more important pressing matters than just the United States, because they're busy with their own things. And I think again, it's like, you can argue again, and probably a lot of people do that. It's just like, oh, because the United States is so big that we are so like into our own thing that we don't get to actually experience, you know, the outside world, because we're inside of our own little bubble, and everything that matters and will matter, it's here, because it's so big that everything is right here. So it's like, maybe, yes, a little bit, but maybe you can argue the same about Europe. Like, Europe is also very big, and still people are not ignorant. So, you know, well, there are ignorant people are everywhere. But in general, so, you know, it's a little bit of like, I don't know. You really do have to, you know, you know, your mileage may vary in this. So there's like different perspectives. But yes, you know, it's just like dumb. A lot of dumb people. And again, I don't know if they're making, you know, they're trolling. I never know if they're trolling or if it's real, you know. It's like some of them, I think they can be, maybe it's a joke. Not all of them, but I think I'm willing to give them a pass and maybe say, I think their humor, it's a joke, but their humor doesn't come across as well because it's online and you don't get the sense, you don't get the tone. So maybe they're joking. I don't know. That's what I tell myself. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.